Happy New Year, people. Welcome to Main Event Boxing Talk for the first one of 2025. How are you, Tom?
Good. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year to you as well, my friend. Right, let's start off with who have you got as the main event fighter of the year in your book?
That was a tough one. There was some really great fights, but I think overall, the fight that most people were interested in, besides Bivol and Beterbiev, was Fury and Alexander Usyk 2. That's what I would give it up to at this point, because the anticipation and then actually everything that went down around it, and all, everybody picking who was going to win and all of that stuff. I think that's the fight of the year.
Okay.
It lived up to expectations, but just Usyk was better. He was a better boxer. There's a case to be made for Fury that he wasn't scored as well as he should have. I think he landed the more meaningful punches.
We were doing the fight of the year.
Right, fight of the year.
Yeah, so I would go with that. We'll move on to fighter of the year. Who do you think is the fighter of the year for the main event award this year?
I'm going to go with Beterbiev.
Good call.
I mean, that was like two guys that were very closely matched, and he just gutted it out and just ran him down the last few rounds, And he's undefeated, and he was the only guy, I guess, he never KO'd, right?
Yeah, it was it was a great fight. I mean, he's proved himself, He's been champ. He was the IBF champion for the last 5 years. He finally got all the belts. And, he's kept them all in place. Fair play to him. He's not a young man, 38, 39. To achieve that at such a later age in fighting is, it's impressive. Okay, the KO of the year, I wouldn't know who to pick for that myself.
Well, there's a good case for Wardley in that rematch.
Oh, the one round, yeah.
Yeah, he broke his head.
Jeez.
Remember that? He put a dent in the side of his head?
Yeah, I remember Fraser Clark at the end said, well, he had to have an operation straight after the fight. A bit of plastic surgery, Jeez.
Wicked knockout. I mean, it was scary.
Horrible knockout.
It was scary. And there were a lot of great knockouts this year, unexpected. But that one was scary. And the way he went out and his eyes were open, like, scared me.
Horrible, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I would have to say that. And it was in the first round. He just blew him out.
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I thought it was going to go longer than that.
And who's the main event promoter of the year?
We missed upset of the year.
Sorry, upset. What was the upset of the year then? Would you say?
Well, Munginga. KO'd by Suras.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
He was winning the fight. I mean, and then he just gets knocked out out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, that was really a big upset. You could see him working that right hand, the way it was awkward, the way he was throwing it from out there. And he just, Munguia, we always said, the three of us, and we wish Spencer a happy New Year. He's busy tonight.
Yeah.
But we always said he was vulnerable to right hands because of the way he would drop his left.
I'm surprised he lost to a guy like that. I mean, Circus has great power, but I'd never heard of him before this fight.
But he never was known for great power. He only had 7 or 8 KOs.
It's crazy, isn't it, really?
Yeah, he was mostly winning by decision, by boxing. And fair play to Munguia. He did land some good shots, but he also missed a lot of shots.
Do you think if they had a rematch, he would win? I think he'd change things different, and I think he'd win if he had a rematch.
I think that Munguia now he's, I think you're the one who said it, that he's been matched well.
He's been matched very well. When he was at 154, the matchmaking was perfect because obviously his power, when he was at 154, he had the power to hurt people. When he got to middleweight, he wasn't so much there to match him a bit more carefully. He was never the same. His power didn't go up. Then he's got to middleweight. His power hasn't really gone up. Or it has. I mean, he fought Canelo. He did well. I just think, I think it's just the matchmaker. If they match him a bit more carefully, he could win a world title this way.
Well, I think who I forgot the name of the fighter who last fought Canelo. Berlanga. I think Berlanga could take him out.
Definitely.
I think Berlanga could take him out if he could make the weight again, because he's a big guy.
We'll
I
see
think
what happens.
Berlanga. What?
Surface Munguia gets the award for that. The next award is Promoter of the Year. Who's got the main event for that in your view?
Turkey Al Sheikh.
He's not really a promoter, though, is he? Really not.
Well,
That's
his promotions. He's the one putting up the money for it.
Yeah, he does. He's done the impossible.
I mean, you could say, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, but on the global scale, it's Riyadh. It's Riyadh.
Who would have thought if you told me a decade ago that a rich Saudis would get involved in boxing? I wouldn't have believed it. Well, now they're involved in it. It's changed boxing for the better in some ways, and some ways not.
However, in the United States, we had Don King getting those big purses and making a lot of those great fights early on. You know what I mean? What are you doing there?
Biting my nose, sorry. The shift of boxing is changing.
The money's changing. You see, the networks didn't want to put up the money for the super fights, so they said goodbye. And then Turkey came in and he put up the money to make them, and then the promoter said, "Okay."
Western boxing, American boxing has destroyed itself, right? The TV companies have destroyed American boxing. They've messed it up.
PBC also did well for their fighters, but they're responsible for destroying it too. Yeah. And Showtime.
Oh, definitely. I hate the minute Showtime, so was it HBO that disappeared? I forget.
Yeah, they quit first.
The people, when big companies like that quit, it's the end of boxing in America, really, don't you, on TV, being a good sport, Well, it does hurt me to see Western boxing has changed. In the UK,
not boxing itself, but the business of boxing has changed.
As the models change. DAZN has also put a spanner in the works. Like in the UK, we still get big pay-per-views every now and then, but I suppose hopefully this will wake boxing up, and the American companies will start coming back again.
Well, let's look at it. Look at Oscar De La Hoya. Look at Top Rank. They put on cards of up and coming fighters, which is good, and they're free. So that's still there. It was like when we used to have fights on ESPN and on USA Network here in the States, which have disappeared somewhat. But on ESPN we have Top Rank, and then we have we have Oscar De La Hoya Productions, and they're streaming a lot of that stuff for free. It's the title fights where they screwed up.
Okay. Right. Let's move on to the winner of Comeback Fighter of 2024. Who wins this award for you?
That was the one I was thinking about the most. Like, who came back? Who was the old? I mean, who was down and came back and won a big title? Daniel Dubois.
Yeah. He's the only one, really.
I was one suffered two bad losses and then came back and
destroyed Joshua.
Yeah, and
with ease.
There it was. I think I got to give it to Daniel.
Yeah, he's earned it. I mean, he gets a win over Baby Miller and then gets a win over Hrgovic and a win over Joshua. He's proved himself.
Yeah, I think I got to go with him. Because he was almost out of the mix there after Joe Joyce, right?
Yeah, he was nearly out of it. But that remember when they made that Jarrell Miller fight, we said, this is a bit risky here, but he pulled through it. And the Hrgovic fight was risky as well.
Right, yeah, so I'm going to go with him. There were probably some other fighters, but I'm not sure who at this point. But I would think if he was the first one that came to mind.
Daniel Dubois gets our
comeback.
Our trophy. Arabic deodorant. Right, anyway, let's move on. Biggest robbery of the year.
I got to go with the first Shaquille O'Neal with that guy from Brazil.
I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, who won the title, and then Shaquille won it back. That was a big robbery, the first one.
Yeah.
I don't see, how that I don't know any other robbery that was that big or close. Some people might say it was Bivol versus Beterbiev. You know, that's why the Sheikh wants to see it again, because he thought Bivol won.
Oh, definitely, it was crazy.
But you know, you can make a case for that. But boy, did he run him down in those last 5 rounds.
The key. I was looking for it. Right, let me see what else is next on that list, and I'm gonna. If there's any more awards, no more awards. Right, the WBA will come to the Tyson Fury fight towards near the end. The WBA have made. Oh, this is crazy. Fabio Wardley.
Can I mention something?
Yeah, go on.
You know, as far as robberies go, Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen, I thought was a robbery.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Yeah, so it would be that you could state that then, but it's not a big enough sort of fight, you know.
All right.
So Fabio Wardley is now number 1 in the WBA rankings. Stupid, isn't it?
Who's he going to get matched with? You know, who's the only guy you can match with at this point?
Probably Kubrat Pulev is the only guy you can.
Pulev, that would be the safest fight for him right now.
Right, going through these rankings, I'm just going to go through the rankings and I'll go back. A guy called Deontay Pettigrew is number 15. Daniel Pero is 14. 13 is Miller. 12 is Luis Ortiz. 11 is Johnny Fisher. 10 is Marek Gassiev. Johnny Fisher's now got a intercontinental title. Moses Atuma is 8. Zili Zhang's 8. Cha is 7. 6 is Cabial. 5 Tyson Fury. 4 Piero. 3 Michael Hunter is the gold champion. Bakul. And Fabio Wardley is the continental champion. I don't think he's even ready for Pulev. I don't think if you got him in there with Pulev, he'd beat him right now.
Well, he's always dangerous. I mean, he's a very dangerous puncher. It's hard to say, but I would not take Moses Atuma. I don't think is ready for him, but Moses Atuma is on the way up.
I think Moses Atuma is a better fighter than Fabio Wardley, probably nearly already.
Right, but he needs a little more seasoning. Johnny Fisher, perhaps. But
Johnny Fisher's pretty terrible, I think. I think if Fabio Wardley were to fight Pulev right now, he would lose, and he would lose pretty badly. I'd even pick, you know.
Yeah. I think he just should. They should match him with guys right now that he has a very good chance of beating, because he does need more, more polishing on him.
I'd say Marek Gassiev would be a good one for him. That would be a proper test, a good test for him.
Yeah, I think
he'd beat him, but it'd be very tough. Or someone like the problem is there's nobody really can put him in there, really. You know what I mean? He's more or less there or thereabouts. If he gets offered the title shot, he should just take it, because he's not going to get another opportunity, I don't think.
Right. So I agree. I think he should, just fight a few more fights before he contends for a title. He needs more training, but he's a wicked puncher, and he's aggressive, killer instinct. It's just when you start going up against other guys that have power and are better boxers, you could get in trouble.
Yeah, I don't think he has the skill to get to the very top. He's just lacking that skill. Right. Deontay Wilder apparently is retired.
I say God bless him. I think it's time. He doesn't need to get hurt. He's not done well his last 2 fights, and he didn't look good.
Whatever people say about him, it doesn't matter. He made 10 defenses of the premier title in boxing, the WBC title. He was champion for 4 or 5 years. He did a good job. He was a good champion. I know the level of opposition wasn't great, but hey.
Well, he did fight some good guys and beat them.
Yeah.
I mean, and there were times, he was way behind and came back. He came back, and you're distracting me with that. Stop it.
Sorry, I'll stop. Yeah, so he had a great career. He got a lot of knockouts, He beat what he had to beat. His skill-wise, he wasn't particularly great, but he didn't need to be with that, that knockout punch.
Well, when he had his reflexes, he was very fast and very unpredictable, and that made for a lot of knockouts. And he was a better boxer than most people thought. But the bottom line was that those Fury fights, and even a couple of fights before that, he was getting hit too much.
Like when he fought Luis Ortiz in those both
Exactly.
fights, he took a lot of punishment in those fights.
There were a couple other fights where he was getting hit, but getting hit in the head by Tyson Fury is no walk in the park.
No, it's not. I mean, I remember one of the fights, the Polish guy, I can't remember his name. You know who
I remember Spitzka or something.
what's his name?
I remember.
Yeah, I know who he is, but I've forgotten his name. But which is bad. And then he fought Joe. I remember he fought Molina, hurt him. Duhaupas hurt him. But I think Luis Ortiz, kind of put the nail in the coffin. Thought that set him up.
Well, he did survive Wilder the first time. He didn't get knocked down.
I mean, sorry, Fury, yeah.
I mean, he did survive Fury, yeah. But that second fight, he took a terrific beating, and the third fight as well.
Oh,
and I think those fights.
I think the third fight, didn't he knock Fury down twice? Yeah.
I don't know how Fury got up from that second knockdown.
In the first fight,
went like that.
And then in the second fight, he didn't get knocked down, but the third fight, Fury got knocked down twice. And I don't know how he got up from them.
I don't know. And then, Fury, that's part of the reason why he's slowed down a lot is, after that, Ngannou rang his bell, and then Usyk hurt him real bad.
I do believe if he'd not had those 3 fights with Wilder, he would have beaten Usyk. That's just my opinion. I think he would.
Most likely. But now, what's happening is Joshua wants to fight Fury now. He's saying he wants Fury next.
Because he's probably slowed down enough that he could do some damage to him. But I'd still pick Fury to beat him.
Oh yeah, I think he would. But Fury, should consider his retirement as well.
Well, we'll see. Before we move on to that fight card from before Christmas, apparently they're talking about that the Terence Crawford Canelo fight is a little bit closer to happening.
It's rumors. There's no official, they're negotiating. And I'm sure that Canelo's going to have his stipulations. But, I mean, what stipulations? I mean, he's got to come up to 168.
Yeah, they might try and put some sort of silly, they might lower the pounds down a bit more. They might
that's what I'm thinking. He's saying, well, I'm the A side. You're going to make more money because of me, which is true. But how much is Bud going to agree to? And Bud hasn't been in the ring in a while, and he looked rusty last time.
Bud barely won his last fight, really scraped by that fight in a really tough fight.
Yeah.
I don't give him any chance of winning this. I just think he's a bit too small for Canelo.
But he's more dimensional, though, than Canelo. But do you remember when that great English fighter went up in weight to fight GGG and got cracked?
Kell Brook, yeah.
Yeah, and Kell Brook was a great fighter.
He was. I just think I could see the same thing happening here and his career being over. And I think this is why we have weight divisions for a reason,
Yeah, because when he went up against Bud, he was winning every round until I think he got knocked out.
I think Bud is, he's nearly at his limit. He could probably go up to 160, but then I don't see him going past that. He's just struggling at 154. If he fights at 160, his power won't be there. So I think 160 is his limit. The only way this fight could be made realistically is if it was at 160, catch weight.
Canelo's not coming down.
No, you can't go down to 160. If he goes down to 160, he'll drain all his energy. He won't be anything left.
I mean, it's easier than him fighting Benavidez. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
In terms of power. Right?
Oh yeah. But sometimes when you fight guys who are lower weight, I think what would happen is in the first 3 rounds Crawford may win them, then after that, as soon as he takes a big punch, it's over. He won't be able to take it. He'll be out there.
Do you think Usyk is going to fight Dubois?
No, I don't think the fight will happen.
He said he would. He said he would do it.
If it's because it would be undisputed again, wouldn't it? It'd be undisputed fight. So possible, yeah.
If I was him, I'd retire. Say bye-bye.
If I was him, I wouldn't retire. I'd just have 1 or 2 more defences, mandatories against the weaker opponents, then walk away. And I wouldn't bother with Dubai. He's already beaten him, and he'd beat him again. I just don't see the benefit of that fight.
I don't either. You know, I just don't.
If Dubai loses another time too, so where does he go from there? He's got to rebuild again. And I think it would be harder for him to get another world title again. To be honest.
I remember when Marvin Johnson and Eddie Mustafa Muhammad and all these fighters were fighting each other and losing and coming back. They were all great fights. You know, it didn't matter that they lost. They were great fights.
Yeah. Sure, to be honest, Dubai is no Larry Holmes, is he? You know, he's good, but he ain't as, you know, I don't see him dominating the division for any length of time. He may win a couple more world titles, you know, make 3 or 4 defenses, but I don't see him being champion in 3 or 4 years. Somebody better come along and beat him, you know. You
think we give Joe Joyce a chance to avenge that?
Well, why would you bother? What does Joe Joyce get to offer apart from standing there as a punch bag now? You know, he's got no real idea. When he fights, he's only got one way. Come forward, take the punches, that's it. People have worked out how to beat him now. You know, the blueprint's there.
You know, I just wanted to say something. You know, we talked about upset of the year, and the other one that I was like, it was trying to balance it was Haney versus Garcia.
Oh yeah,
that was so controversial, but it wasn't as like dramatic in the sense of that one punch knockout coming out.
Because of the drugs. Yeah, the drugs.
Okay, so let's see what else you had up here.
Well, let's talk about.
Well, we talked about Deontay, and we talked about the possibility of that fight. Do you want to go back to? Do you want to talk about Opataya and his fight this week?
Yeah, he's fighting a 6'6" guy, and he was a 6'8". I can't tell 6'6".
Yeah, a tall guy that doesn't have a lot of power. But I've seen him fight, and I think Opataya is just going to be able to get around that reach and just bang him up.
I think Opataya should forget about you know, if he can't unify this division after this fight, he should probably move up to bridgerweight, you know, or something. Win a title there, then move up to heavyweight. The options, there aren't many options. I don't see Ramirez giving him a title shot, do you?
No,
he could probably fight Badu Jack, obviously, who's just been given back the WBC belt, but we talked about that the other weeks in the political crap to go
right.
with.
Right, all that.
I see him winning about 4 or 5 rounds. It would just be an easy fight for him. And, right, let's go to the next card, which was the card that the Saudi card, which took place for. I'm going to start off with the Johnny Fisher David Allen fight. Terrible. What a robbery that was.
I thought it was a robbery. Who was it who won that? Allen?
No, Johnny Fisher won.
Johnny Fisher. Yeah, that was like, what? He was knocking him around the ring.
It was ridiculous. I mean, he even knocked him down twice, didn't he? They had 10-8 rounds already.
Yeah, I watched that and I was like, wow, really? You know,
crazy.
I didn't believe it. But the fight that really startled me was how Moses Atuma walked through David Dempsey.
He went for him like he was nothing.
Yeah, all of a sudden he just exploded on him, right?
Yeah, I think we need to be a bit careful with Moses Atuma, the way they're matching him, because I think they're now trying to push him too quickly. They're talking about him fighting guys like Pulev ready. He's not ready. He could probably beat the guys, but he needs more rounds.
No, they should have definitely most definitely get him, you know, to go to the well and see how he does with somebody who could put up to that punch. Yeah. That's what they did with Tyson. He was knocking everybody out. What?
I'd probably put him in there with Fabio Wardley now, or would you say it's too soon?
I would say no. I would say no. I want to see him get. I want to see him go to the well. I want to see somebody take him the distance and see what his stamina is like, and somebody who could hit him back.
The only person I could see really doing it at this point is Fabio Wardley. But Fabio Wardley obviously wouldn't risk it now, would he? Why would he? He's a number one ranked. So why would he risk it?
Well, also, why risk it with the tumor? Because he's young yet. What is he? 20?
Put him in there with Johnny Fisher, but I don't think Johnny Fisher would be able to do anything to him.
No, I don't think so. But I think he's got a future. This kid.
What about someone like Emmanuel Char? That would be a good. That would be.
Yeah, Emmanuel Char could go to the well with him, but I think what will happen is that Emmanuel Char doesn't have that speed.
He doesn't, but I think if he got there, it would get him nearer to that world title shot. Very quickly.
I think the guy they got to watch out for is Caballel.
They wouldn't match him with Caballel because he's too awkward and too experienced, and no one's beating him.
And now he's becoming a puncher.
Yeah, he's just changed his style up, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he's dangerous. He's going to be avoided. But
for Moza Tuma, I think they're pushing him too quickly.
Well, like I said, I want him to go the distance and somebody take him there.
We need to see him in a fight where he gets the round, somebody knocks him down, he gets back up and he wins. But you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Next on this card was, this wasn't even a good card really. You had Usyk against Fury.
Well, I predicted another decision. Now, the way I saw the fight was I agree that that Usyk scored more punches. A lot of those punches were jabs to the body. He was targeting that body to slow him down.
Yeah.
But Fury got a little dirty in there. He wasn't dirty in the first fight. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
He was like holding him and hitting him after the bell, hitting him low a couple of times.
The first fight, he thought he won, which he may have done. But in the second fight, he didn't have any confidence. It's like he knew he was going into this fight, he was going to lose. He had a funny feeling. And he didn't have the same confidence he had in the first fight. You could see he was fighting too technical. He wasn't using his weight. He had a 55-pound weight advantage. He didn't use his weight. He just used his skill, didn't he? He should have used a bit more rough house stuff.
If he didn't have that knockdown, he would have won by a point or two.
Definitely.
But see, what happened was he slowed down, and then Usyk has got this engine. Fury doesn't have that engine anymore, and he's slower. He was doing right the way he was catching his jab. Like in the beginning, he would put his arm out and catch that jab, and he was doing well. But as soon as he would start backing up, the mistake was when he backed up is when he was getting hit. And the thing was, I don't know. I think he had, in my opinion, he had Usyk in trouble 3 times, and 3 times he backed off of him. And I think he was getting caught.
The problem was whenever Fury was throwing punches or combinations, Usyk would discounter it and hit him with two or three punches. And Fury should have doubled up on the jab and tripled up on it, rather than just single shots, which is what he was doing.
Yeah.
And body.
But when he did stun him, he didn't go after him.
No, he should have done. I think he was afraid he'd get countered again. Therefore, Usyk won it by countering Fury, didn't he? Just,
He landed more punches. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think his aggressiveness was as effective as Fury's aggressiveness. And that's why I think Fury thought he won.
Yeah. If he'd laid it on him, he should have gone for broke a bit more, I think, seriously.
Well, he thought he'd win a boxing match, and he didn't. And
you can't win a boxing match against Usyk. You have to take him out or knock him down or make sure he's on the mat and getting up again.
I mean, Daniel Dubois was bullying him a bit until he got caught, But in my opinion, that could have been a knockout.
I think, it could have been. I think Usyk could fight Fury 100 times and he'd beat him every time. I just don't think there's any point of, that style's all wrong for Fury, innit? I think it goes down to the style as well.
I mean,
It's
it's
not
all
like
wrong.
Yeah.
It's been wrong for everybody he fought.
Yeah, I don't think Usyk is miles better than Fury because he's not. He's just
They're
got
very
a bit.
close.
He's very close. He's
You
not.
would expect Fury with that size, with that reach, to be able to handle that. But the guy can move. The guy can move, and
The
you got
problem with Fury,
to take your hat off to him. Let's take our hat off to him.
the problem with Fury is he fights like he's never really fought like heavyweight, really, because of his skill level. He's always like, he looked like a proper fighter. And there's other fights he could get by that he was just more talented than the other guys because they weren't up to his level.
Right.
Now he's been found out, by a better guy.
Well, that's true. So Fury always won because of physical. I mean, against Klitschko, he fought him perfectly, but that guy who beat Klitschko is not the same guy now.
No, if you got a time machine, he probably would have won. If you took that Fury.
Absolutely, I think so. Because look at Muhammad Ali. He was, before he was put out of commission for almost 4 years, nobody could touch him.
When Ali came back, he was like, his speed had gone, but his skill was still there. He was taking more punches than what he used to.
He still had speed, but he didn't have the engine he had. He didn't have all that energy. He had to pace himself differently. And he wasn't throwing as hard because, he had bursitis in his right hand.
Yeah.
So, he had to make adjustments to that. And his timing was, and then he wasn't training a lot like he used to. He got involved with women. And
I think Fury should adjust how he fights, change his style up a little bit, be more aggressive again.
Well, I think, look, he did a great job. The guy was just a little bit better than him.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not talking Fury.
Yeah.
All fighters get old, Usyk is going to be old too. If he keeps playing, he's going to lose.
I think Fury is in a position where he's near retirement, but he could change his style up a little bit. And I still think he beats 80 or 90% of the other guys in the division.
Yeah, well, Joshua wants him. I think Joshua thinks now that he can handle him.
Right.
It's
so Joshua knows that Fury's vulnerable. So if he hits him, he can get him down. If he can, land a big shot, he'll knock him out. Right. But it's can he get to him, with a clean enough shot.
Usyk didn't get to him this time. Usyk didn't hurt him.
No, he didn't hurt him. He just outboxed him, and it was enough.
He said, "They said, was this fight easier?" He said, "It wasn't easy, but it was easier."
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's face it, no fight is easy. Unless you knock a guy out right away, you got to work for it. You go the distance, you're going to take shots. Everybody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Those shots to the body, you don't feel them until the next, until after the fight is over, because your adrenaline is going. You don't feel those pains. You block them out. But then, like, you get it back into the dressing room. You take a shower. You calm down. You're pissing blood. From kidney shots, your ribs are really sore. All the muscles and ligatures around them are really sore. Your gut feels like, you're going to have diarrhea for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
So it's, people don't realize.
Right, we've reached the end today. We'll be back next week. Stay on the line after this.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Okay. Give me one.